Your first development is always a very steep learning curve, but when you've got a minuscule budget and you've got a massive project, it's really hard to know where to spend your precious cash. Which was exactly the problem furniture maker Mike Horgan and teacher Laura Archer had when they first took on this 5-bedroom Victorian semi in Felixstowe 18 months ago. They were determined to save money wherever they could, whatever the risks, even if it meant compromising safety.
I don't think I'll ever feel 100% happy until the big steel's in and it's supported, and I don't think I'll ever actually be walking underneath it without running.
Mike survived the first development and is now ready to tackle the next, but it seems he's still up for a challenge.
Got some problems here with the amount of slope there is in the house, and as you're walking in, you can definitely feel that you're falling down one side.
When I first saw Mike and Laura's 5-bed semi 18 months ago, I thought it was the perfect candidate for renovation, and so did they. In fact, they invested everything they had in it.
You know, I think it's a worry when you stretch yourself financially so much. I mean, to borrow as much money as you can possibly borrow, you know, sticking your neck out a little bit too far is definitely a daunting prospect, really.
It's quite a test for us as well, really.
Yeah. I think Laura's DIY skills are kind of non-existent. So,
I'm being told what to do.
Exactly.
So.
I can be quite bossy, I think.
Laura needs to learn quickly because there's a lot to do. The house has been squatted in for 7 years and is a real mess. Transforming it into a fantastic family home will take a bit of vision and a lot of cash. Who's the keen gardener, then?
I do like a bit of gardening, I must admit.
Do you? So how much did you buy the house for?
156,000.
Right, and what are you planning on spending doing it up?
12,000.
Is that in total, including all your fees? That doesn't seem very much money.
No, yeah, with all the mortgage repayments and the other fees, it'll be about 18,000, but I've sort of taken care of those and I'm covering the mortgage in my job, so...
Right. It still doesn't seem an enormous amount, considering the size of the house.
Bit ambitious, you reckon?
Yeah. Do you have a contingency for spending more?
I've got about 1,000 and then a credit card, so I've literally worked out what money I can get, what I can get hold of, and then I've sort of allocated, that's what I've got for that, that's what I've got for the kitchen, that's what I've got for the bathroom, I can't go over that.
What do you plan on selling it for?
Hopefully, I'd like to think I'll get about 215 for it.
So that would leave you £40,000 profit.
Yeah.
But it would take a minor miracle to turn this around for £18,000, especially as £6,000 of that's already allocated for their mortgage payments and fees. But you've kind of got to admire them. Mike wanted to develop this property so much, he just stuck his neck out and bought it. The problem is, the maximum they could raise was £174,000. So once they'd bought it for £156,000, that left Mike and Laura only with £18,000 to spend on the development. They're hoping to sell for £215,000 and make a £41,000 profit. But for once, I think they've underestimated their sale price. House prices in Felixstowe are still going up. What's more, period properties like this are few and far between around here. Get the look right, and they sell for a premium. I think you could get somewhere between the 215 and the nearer the 250 level if you make the layout the perfect layout and make this the perfect house.
Worth spending the extra money, you think?
I think so. You know, there is the potential of making the extra profit.
I think I shall wait until the £12,000 has run out and then reassess it at the time.
Unfortunately, I don't think he'll have to wait very long. For £12,000, Mike's planning to restore over 20 of the old sash windows, plaster all the walls, do all the electrics and plumbing, fit the kitchen and bathrooms, do all the decoration, and redesign the garden. On top of that, their structural survey recommended that up to half of the roof would need replacing. He hasn't got a penny in the budget for that, or any professional labour. He's planning on doing the whole house himself from top to bottom. And that's a lot of house. This is a classic late Victorian 3-storey semi. There are 2 bedrooms on the top floor and 3 more bedrooms on the second floor, along with the property's one and only bathroom. On the ground floor at the front, there are 2 good-sized reception rooms, but the kitchen is way too small for a large family home. Plus, there are 2 utility areas to the rear which block off the views to the garden. Mike and Laura's plan is to fit a bathroom here at the back in one of the utility rooms. Why are you putting a bathroom at the back of the house?
I just thought it'd be good to have a... I think for the size of the house, I think I definitely need like a downstairs toilet.
I don't think any family would ever use a bathroom right at the back of the kitchen. If you could knock through all of these walls right the way out, have French doors at the end, so the whole thing overlooks the garden, so you've got a view right from the front door, right the way out across the garden, I think that would be the ultimate layout for the ground floor.
I'm then talking major works. Again, with the budget I've got, I really don't think that's going to be something that's I'm going to be able to swallow.
I can't say often enough that a decent-sized kitchen breakfast room overlooking the garden sells property. And it would be so easy to do here. I'd knock the kitchen and utility areas together and put in double doors leading to the garden. It would create a perfect living space as the hub of this big family home. But they're right, a 5-bedroom house does need a second bathroom, only not down here. On the top floor, because that front room is such an incredible room with brilliant views, I personally would be tempted to make the room behind it, which is a lovely big room, into a luxury bathroom, and then the whole of that top floor would be a master suite. And I think that might be the clincher that would get you that extra money and guarantee you a sale. The great thing about putting the second bathroom up here is that because it's next door to the master bedroom, it's like an ensuite, but you still have the access off the corridor, which is the best of both worlds. And I think this will add real value. 4 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms will be worth substantially more in this development than 5 bedrooms with 1 bathroom.
Sounds really good, but then again, budget, time, how much work can I do? You know, it's like, you know, sky's the limit. What can I do here?
£12,000 simply isn't enough to do all the work here. So Mike and Laura have to prioritise where it's being spent. Mike and Laura only have £2,400 for 2 bathrooms and the kitchen, £1,500 for structural repairs, £1,300 for damp work, £1,300 for materials, and £2,500 for plumbing and wiring. They've £1,000 for the decoration, £1,000 for the garden, and £1,000 for emergency costs. The £6,000 fees include 5 mortgage payments, but that means they have to get this finished and sold in 5 months. Their total budget is £18,000. Mike's planning on doing all the work himself. But although he's a furniture maker, he's not a plumber or a plasterer or an electrician. And he's never tackled anything like this before.
She's completely budgeted differently.
Yeah.
I think you need to go away and think.
Big stuff.
Mike Horgan and Laura Archer are developing this dilapidated 5-bed Victorian semi in Felixstowe in Suffolk. But with only a shoestring budget, they're finding themselves faced with a million difficult decisions. The house desperately needs a larger kitchen, but Mike doesn't think he can knock through the rooms without paying professional builders, and he's determined to do everything himself.
I'm going to try and do as much work as I can. I don't want to get tradesmen in where I don't think it's sort of 100% necessary.
It's week 1 of this 20-week development, and Laura's just beginning to realise what Mike's let them both in for.
down by the stairs, I'd spent ages all day scraping the walls, and then you come up here and you think, oh, you've got to do all the other walls, and I just think that's just going to be the most tedious, longest part of it, is just propping all the walls up.
Although they're not doing any structural work, there's still a huge amount of preparation. In fact, stripping off and sanding down the old paintwork turns out to be the mother of all tasks. Laura and Mike both have full-time jobs, and with only weekends and evenings to work on the property, one whole month goes by, and amazingly, they're still at it. Just.
I'm into decorating and painting, but manual stuff, I'll do it, but it's not, you know, I find it harder to stay here for 4 hours and scrape skirting boards than Mike.
The shame is Mike and Laura are so desperate to save money, they're missing the bigger picture. If they spent more money on the right things, they could sell this development for a much higher price. So I'm taking them to see a fantastic open-plan kitchen diner to try and influence their plans. This here is what you could have. What do you reckon?
It's really
Wow.
nice.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, just walking straight from there.
Yeah.
It's instant.
But it's about the sight lines, and this is a similar width as yours. What's yours about? Was it
320, I think, yeah.
Okay, so this is 315, so this is slightly narrower.
It looks fantastic. I mean, just looking down at the garden there, but I'm just thinking, ouch, how much money is it going to cost?
Without the kitchen breakfast room, and without fulfilling the maximum potential of the house, you might not get 200,000 for it. Whereas if you do everything, you have the kitchen breakfast room and you have the extra bathroom, all these things could make it worth as much as £250,000.
I think it looks amazing, and I think we should go for it and do it and spend that little bit more money.
This is a real breakthrough. The kitchen diner will transform the property. But it does mean more work, and their schedule is already slipping. To help catch up, Mike's decided to move in. That way he can spend more time working and less travelling.
I think you can stand in here, have a shower, no problem. Just to de-dust after a hard day's work.
Mike, I do worry about you. I think I'm just going to stay at my mother's until the whole bathroom is done.
Until a working bathroom is up and running, it looks as if Mike will be sleeping alone.
I'll see you tomorrow.
From day one, Mike's been determined to do all the work. And now he's decided to knock through the kitchen and utility rooms himself to create a fantastic new open-plan kitchen. Wall number 1 isn't load-bearing, and Mike sets about taking it down.
Excellent. Oh, it looks bigger now. Sweet. It'll be absolutely fantastic to remove this wall and make an absolutely huge room with loads of space.
But he knows enough to know that wall number 2 is much more of a problem. It's load-bearing and supports the entire back of the house. Mike's never done anything like this before, but he sets about preparing to take it down all the same. Before touching any structural work, I'd always recommend getting an expert to check out what you're doing. And just as well for Mike, that's exactly what he does.
You've got 4 acro props at the moment on this side of the wall,
Yeah.
which is the low side. I think you're going to need some additional support to the other side of the wall.
I need 4 down this side. I can't
Yeah.
just take 2 back from here and put them on that side.
No, there's a lot of load there. You're going to need a lot more additional support.
So I get about another 3 or 4 of those.
Another 4.
Another 4 of
Another
those.
4,
Right,
yes.
okay.
This is not what Mike wants to hear. Hiring in 4 more supports would cost only £100, but incredibly, he decides to ignore the structural engineer's advice and starts demolishing the wall anyway.
playing Jenga, isn't it?
This could literally bring the house down.
I don't think I'll ever feel 100% happy until the big steel's in and it's supported, and I don't think I'll ever actually be walking underneath it without running.
Mike is taking a terrifying risk. There's absolutely no point in paying out for professional advice and then completely ignoring it.
It all looks the same, which is quite reassuring, actually. It's, yeah, props are still up there and everything's being held. Yeah, the back of the house still looks cool.
He may be relieved, but the entire house could still collapse because Mike wouldn't spend £100. Thankfully, even Mike knows putting in permanent support is a job for the pros. And with the property safe, everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. One thing is clear, Mike is prepared to go a long way to save money. And he's spotted a way to make some back. He's kept all the old bricks to sell on as salvage. But as is often the way with older buildings, the money now looks like it will need to be spent somewhere else. Three months into this 5-month development, there's bad news.
I basically had a leak that was dribbling sort of down this groove here. So is that going to be a massive job or an easy job? Nice and cheap? Or...
Well, no, it won't be cheap.
There's no way of doing a,
No.
I hate to say bodge, but a quick sort of...
No, not me anyway.
This is a major problem and one they should have seen coming when they bought the property. The surveyor told them the roof would need replacing, but they didn't put a penny in the budget for any repairs. And the bad news doesn't stop there.
You've got nail fatigue up there now, which means the slates will just slip all the time. I'd advise you to strip it off and have a re-roof on the back, really. I mean, cost-wise, you're looking at probably about £3,500.
And to actually re-roof the place was nothing certainly wasn't anything I budgeted for.
I mean, I'm just giving you some advice, really.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're chucking money away when you keep repairing it.
Having a budget of £12,000 was always a recipe for disaster. Mike and Laura could now remortgage to raise some extra cash. They will need this to do the job properly, otherwise the property could be difficult to sell. But Mike's come up with another solution that he hopes will get them out of trouble.
And if I could get someone to rent it out for a year, that would be great. And then obviously look and see how that goes, as to whether I continue to rent it or then consider selling it.
Although they're in a tough position, this isn't the answer. It's a good time to sell here because whilst property prices have been going up, they're beginning to level off. And I just don't think this sort of house will be easy to let, considering the local market. Felixstowe docks are the largest employers in the area, and the rental demand is great for small, cheap properties, but not for houses like Mike's.
So I think in this area it'll be quite difficult to rent a house this big. And it's a big house to rent, and most people who rent round here are looking for smaller properties.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and rent it to start with. Obviously, I don't know how that's going to turn out, so...
If it doesn't let, you'll have to re-roof it, you'll have to be putting a new bathroom in, and it actually seems quite a false economy to try and save the money now and do it later.
At this moment in time, I just can't get my head around that, and the money isn't there. At this stage, it's not going to be done.
I think you'd be better off borrowing the money, getting the roof done, getting the place up to scratch, getting another bathroom in, and selling it on day one.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying totally. It's just, because I've just got so much going on here doing it, I just don't even get time to sit down and think about that.
Mike's been working so hard on this project, he can't see the wood for the trees. Laura's at the property less and less, and everything is taking twice as long as he'd planned. Mike has now been living on site for 10 weeks, but however late he works, he's weeks behind and never seems able to catch up. Mike Horgan and Laura Archer were hoping to make £41,000 profit for 5 months' work on this large Victorian semi. But 4 months in and the property still looks utterly derelict. They've spent practically all their cash and are cutting corners wherever they can. The roof is at the end of its life and needs to be replaced, but Mike is determined only to patch it up.
At the moment the funds aren't there and it's not going to get done. So we'll just wait and see, I guess.
Their solution was to rent the house out and save up the cash to do the roof. I think there's a real danger, though, they won't be able to rent it and they won't be able to sell it.
It just seems I'm banging my head against the wall thinking I'm going to get the ideal tenant in here who's going to stay here for a long term and everything's going to be rosy. It's just too many ifs.
I think we're actually finding a tenant for this house. We could be waiting for ages. Bottom line is we've decided to sell up rather than rent.
Yeah, and we talked about it and discussed various things, and yeah, it's all stacked up that we've got to. I think we just got to sell it, take the money, and move on.
Although this really is the right move, it means they're very short of money, and I'm not sure how they're going to actually finish this job. And there's another problem. Inside, the drive to cut costs is going to have a serious effect on their profits, because this massive house is only going to have 1 bathroom.
So you're not going to put one in upstairs?
When you mentioned that to me on the first day, why not make it a master suite? And I thought, too much work. But really, yeah, I think I wish I had just gone straight for it and put another bathroom up there.
At this stage, it might be worth just biting the bullet and going for it.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's just a question of money again and time. Had I done it at the first time, I wouldn't have had to. I mean, I've obviously run sockets. There's 4 sockets in that room, and they've got to be taken out. Things like that, which is just a pain. I think, well, had I done it to start with, then it would have been a much wiser move.
I mean, I know that you're short on time, and I know you're short on money, but it's not too late. This is not a finished house by a long stretch of the imagination. And now's the time that you really should find the extra money and do it, because I really think you'll regret it when you come to sell this. If you regret it now, you're going to regret it 100 times more by the time the project's finished.
Yeah.
I think it would be brilliant to have one up there. I think it would really set the house off. But like Mike says, we should have thought about it to start with and said, right, we're going to do it.
I think for renting or for selling, a 4-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house is not going to be worth any difference in value, but a 1-bathroom house or a 2-bathroom house will clinch it.
As a rule of thumb, when developing, you need 1 bathroom for every 3 bedrooms. And here, that means they have to find the money to get bathroom number 2. But just when it's looking impossible, Mike and Laura finally get some good luck for a change.
And one option I've really looked at would be sort of coming through the fence here with a pipe underground, directly down sort of to more or less to just short of your house, where you've got a manhole.
Mike's neighbour wants to run a waste pipe through his land. This could be the financial lifeline he so desperately needs.
I'd be looking to pay you for doing that. That would all be inspected, by the building inspector.
I've no idea how much money we'll be talking about. Obviously, that's something that has to be covered, I guess.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I was sort of thinking of a ballpark figure of about sort of £2.5 grand, 2,500.
Right, OK. That's all money I could do with. It's going to help me a great deal to do other things in the house.
Why don't you have a think about it and then come back to me?
I can't see any reason why not. I'm on a tight budget, so, that sort of money comes in handy. So, yeah.
Great.
Making money on side deals like this can seem a godsend, but you should seal the deal in writing. Make sure you don't accept responsibility for any maintenance work and that the position of the pipe is clearly marked on your plans. For about £200, a solicitor will draw up an agreement, and that's money well spent. Mike is still £2.5 grand better off. Now I hope that they spend it in the right places, like the 2nd bathroom, and getting some help to get this place done. because in 2 weeks this property is supposed to be on the market, but that's looking very, very unlikely. Mike's been working as project manager, chief labourer and skilled worker, but he's barely even started on the plumbing and plastering.
I think I've done all right, but I think I would definitely recommend using plasterers who know what they're doing, I guess.
Mike moved in to try and get more done, but even that's caused its own problems.
As far as the relationship goes, yeah, there is a certain amount of pressure on that. I mean, we just haven't seen each other hardly for the last month, to be honest. But the situation is at the moment, it's one of those things you've got to put up with, I suppose.
It has been hard because I want to see him, and I kind of, house is first, and the house is his priority. I managed to drag him away just to go out for the day the other day, and he just wanted to chill out and sleep because it is taking its toll on him. I knew when we did this project that it was going to be the biggest test for us.
12 weeks after Mike moved in, there's still no creature comforts, which doesn't seem to bother him.
I don't think there's any chance of getting Laura a paper wash like this, but I don't see it as any great hardship, really. It's not going to kill me.
Laura's not impressed.
I'm not going to move in until it's livable. To my standards, not yours.
Okay.
When are you going to do that?
Next week.
Next week.
Well, I've been saying that for about 2 months. Okay, so we're not quite there yet.
No, no way.
This project is simply too big for one person. 2 weeks later, I've come back because it's supposed to be done. This is a very long way off being finished. And you were going to be finished in 5 months, and it's now 5 months today.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind, I'm afraid. Well, I do have some good news for you. We have decided to sort of put the second bathroom in upstairs on the top floor, and put that into the master suite you suggested in the early days.
I'm really glad you're doing this, actually, because it'll certainly make the house worth more than it costs to do. This is great news, but there's still an amazing amount to do, including lovingly restoring 22 sash windows by hand.
It's a monstrous job, really. But hopefully this is going to save me an awful lot of money. I can't imagine you'd get a window for less than sort of £400 or £500, really. So 22 of those. A lot of money. That's definitely going to keep me busy for a while.
The trouble is, there's no way Mike is going to be able to restore all the windows and get the house finished in 5 weeks all on his own. But his neighbour's cash comes to the rescue again, and Mike hires in some outside help. It would have taken weeks to render the kitchen and finish the plastering, but it's done in a couple of days, leaving Mike's dad and Laura free to start the painting. And pulling in another favour, Laura's dad lays the carpet throughout the entire house, free of charge. Three weeks later, a huge amount has been done, and Mike is back on site installing the windows.
It's been so long with that tarpaulin in the front window to actually get light coming back in and being able to see out down the street now. Yeah, it's really good.
6 months after starting this project, and only 1 month behind schedule, it's finished. I said it was a perfect property development, and Mike and Laura have really done it justice. What was once a dark and derelict front room is now a bright, spacious family living room. Next door, the dining room is also transformed. But the kitchen is the real heart of this house. 3 small rooms have become a large, open-plan living area with great views of the garden. That will be a big hit with the family market.
Oh, my word! Fantastic!
Yeah, it looks a bit different now, doesn't it?
I think coming into the kitchen and seeing that view out to the garden just is really, really successful.
And it's not just downstairs where the house is a success. The top floor is Mike and Laura's biggest achievement. A couple of ordinary bedrooms have become a really beautiful master suite that sets this property apart.
What a success!
Yeah, it's
Oh,
lovely,
that's
isn't it?
just brilliant. Yeah, what a lovely room this is.
Yeah.
It's,
Fantastic.
are you pleased that you?
I'm over
you
the
did
moon
it?
about how it looks now. I mean, I'm glad you convinced me.
Obviously, it had cost implications, didn't it? And it hasn't
Yeah.
been cheap putting it in.
No, I mean, it's no expense spared putting this in, really, but I mean, I got that money from the land drainage from my neighbour, and that's basically paid for this.
I think that this room, together with the bedroom next door, will be what sells this house.
Outside, Mike has worked wonders as well.
Because it's all landscape. This looks brilliant.
Yeah, it's lovely out here, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's no escaping that the roof needs replacing.
Just one area that maybe you cut a corner too far, and that's the roof.
Bloody roof. I'm sick of hearing about that roof.
And the point is, it will come up on a survey, and therefore you will either have to do the roof or probably take money off your asking price.
If I can't actually be bothered to actually go back to doing it, then I'll just take less for it.
This is one of Mike's cutbacks which won't pay off, and it will affect his final asking price.
So how much did you end up spending on this development?
26,000, just over.
That's seriously impressive. I mean, this is a big 3-storey house.
I mean, it's a lot over the budget I originally had, and although I've done extra work, I never intended to do it. It's still a lot of money, and like, it may not sound that much. You know, every 500 quid does count, you know.
I mean, by rights, it should have cost about double that. So all of that extra work is really down to you and saving money.
Yeah.
Although Mike and Laura spent more than they planned, they couldn't have done this development on their original budget. By far the biggest increase was the cost of the bathrooms and the kitchen, which jumped from £2,400 to £7,000. But everywhere else, Mike and Laura kept remarkably close to the budget. They spent £1,000 more than they wanted to on structural repairs, but £500 less on damp work. The cost of materials rose from £1,300 to £3,000, and the plumbing and wiring from £2,500 to £3,800. They doubled their tiny budget for decoration and spent only £400 more on the garden than intended. There were unforeseen costs, £500 for dressing the property and £800 for fireplaces. Fees, including sellers' costs, came to £10,850, but their neighbour's waste pipe earned them £2,700. Total spend, £29,950, just under £12,000 over budget, and on a property this size, that's nothing short of a miracle. They originally wanted to sell the house for £215,000, but I think it could now be worth a whole load more.
A nice spacious room, very well presented, neutral colours, fireplace and bay windows.
Oh, I think it's absolutely great in this room. It's a nice big room. Like the fact that they've got a downstairs loo.
The roof is obviously in some need of repair. I think that most buyers may look at that and feel that there's some cost that's going to be involved.
Oh, this is lovely. I like the future wall up here.
I like this upstairs space, and I think they're right to put in the extra bathroom.
Lots of properties of this age don't have the second bathroom, so to have this room complete with a shower as well is a big bonus.
I would place the property on the open market at £250,000.
I'd recommend an asking price of £250,000 for this property.
I'd place this property on the open market for £250,000.
We've had 3 agents round, and they've all come in at the same figure, which is £250,000.
250?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Cool. That's good, isn't it?
Are you very pleased with that?
Yeah, that makes it all worthwhile. Yeah.
Is that's more than you were that's the most you were secretly expecting?
Oh, yeah, if it was anywhere near that, I thought, yeah, that's fantastic.
If you do sell for £250,000, after your selling fees and all your other costs, you'll make over £64,000 in profit.
Well, yeah, that's fantastic.
Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, for a lot of hard work at evenings and weekends is...
So was it worth it?
Well worth it,
Yeah.
That sounds great.
This would be a fantastic profit. Mike will have managed to earn more than 2 times the national average salary in just 6 months. But someone first has to buy the property.
Nice and bright, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Nice big window. I love the fireplace.
Wow! Well, this is nice. I really like the house, and I definitely would be interested in putting in an offer.
Even though Mike and Laura went over budget, sometimes you have to speculate to accumulate. And if they sell for $250,000, they will have made an incredible 34% return on their investment, thanks to a great property, a rising market, and above all else, the staggering amount of work Mike put into the development. What they need to do now is sell and move on to the next. But will they? Mike Horgan and Laura Archer did such a fantastic job renovating this Victorian semi in Felixstowe that they could have sold and made a whopping £64,000 profit. Instead, they decided to remortgage and stay there themselves. 7 months on, they don't look as though they're going anywhere in a hurry.
We chose to ignore Sarah's advice to sell straight away purely because of the fact that I was absolutely run ragged doing this place up, and it just wasn't an option to go and buy another place and live on site. I don't think we would have survived it, would we?
Is there a way you could have done that? You needed a break, didn't you?
Yeah.
But now they're ready to start again and have released money from their property to enable them to buy the next. And it couldn't be more different. It's taken 6 months of legal wrangling to buy it, but Mike has finally got the keys.
Yeah, it's been a long 6 months sort of waiting to get hold of this, so finally getting the keys and go and have a good nose and poke around really, and see what's in store for me on the next one.
This property is far smaller than Mike's first development. It's a 3-bedroom 1930s end terrace with an open-plan lounge diner, a kitchen and a small enclosed garden. And the figures are a tiny fraction of the last one too. Mike bought it for just £72,000. He's expecting to spend a tiny £7,000 on it, but thinks he can sell it for £117,500. This would make Mike a hugely impressive profit of £38,500. On first appearances, this has the hallmark of a great little development. It's already been double glazed, it's been rewired, and there's even central heating.
I basically bought this house because it was just so cheap. I mean, the last house I went in there, there wasn't a certain amount of emotion involved in doing that up. This house, I don't like the look of it. I've just purely looked at it. There's money to be made here. I paid cash for the place because it was advertised for cash buyers. I think somebody had tried to buy it in the past and had a basic survey done on the house, and they wouldn't lend money on it.
But when a property is advertised as a cash purchase only, it usually indicates there's a problem with the house. And with this little house, there's a big problem. In 1953, the whole area was badly flooded, and this particular house suffered badly. It subsided several inches into the ground, which means almost every door, floor, wall and window is out of kilter. Mike is starting to realise the size of the job ahead.
Obviously you can see the walls out here as well, and the problem I'm going to have by levelling the floors is I'm going to make the walls and the floors even further out than they are now, which is going to make the place look even worse.
It's not just a lot of hard work. If banks have refused to lend on the house in the past, then they could do it again. And with no mortgage to be had, there's little chance of anyone being able to buy the house. This project could be sinking before it's barely afloat. Though Mike bought the house for cash, he still needs to borrow money to do the work. To confirm the house isn't still subsiding, Mike gets a structural surveyor's report in the hope that the mortgage company will now lend. It's an anxious 2 weeks wait.
This is what I've been waiting for, a nice mortgage offer, which says that this place is mortgageable, which is going to make it mortgageable for anybody else coming in to buy it. I can just go ahead, renovate it, pretty straightforward, and get it back on the market as soon as possible. So this was great news.
A bank might be willing to lend on it, but will anyone want to buy a house that looks so skew-whiff? Mike's being typically optimistic if he thinks it's going to be straightforward. He's got a lot of work ahead of him if he's going to make this lopsided house feel straight.
It's just a case of like cutting these small battens that are wedged at one end to make up for the difference in the fall of the floor, screwing these down on the original joists, which are underneath this floor, and then just laying the new floor over the top. And that's been done sort of throughout most of the house.
As with his last property, Mike is doing most of the work himself.
I don't think Laura's ambitions lie in like demolition or anything like that. I think she's quite happy doing her school teaching, so I think we've definitely decided that this is something I'll be doing, and you know, she'll be doing her thing, but I don't think there's going to be a partnership involved in renovations.
And yet again, he's far from afraid of hard work. In just 8 weeks, he's transformed this place. The tired and dated interiors have gone, and the house now feels lighter, more modern and more spacious. You certainly learnt something from your first development. You've got a tiddler here.
Yeah, it's definitely downsized a little bit from the last one.
Yeah, but it hasn't been without its problems.
No, it's definitely been a few issues on it.
No, a bit of a wonky.
Come on.
Doesn't feel too wonky in here, actually, does it?
No, it's a lot better than it was.
Although, actually, you can really tell how much movement there has been, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And you've obviously done a lot of remedial work, because bits of it are level and bits of the house are very unlevel.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do a lot of cosmetic stuff to it, like levelling all these floors was quite a big job, but I've done that to make it feel as good as I can.
Well, it's obviously paid off because you have improved it.
Yeah, I'm sort of quite pleased now it's gone, really.
Mike should be pleased. In each room, the house feels like a home. In the kitchen, Mike removed an old loo to make a much larger and more practical room. And upstairs, the 3 bedrooms all feel warm and welcoming. But it's in the sitting room where he's really learned from experience and created a much more appealing room. Ah, so you put the doors in again?
Yeah, that was something that came in from the last house, really. It worked really well there, so I thought I had to put that in.
That looks fantastic. I mean, it's such a difference being able to see down the garden from this room. I think the fact that the walls are so good and you put bits of furniture in, suggesting how you could live here, does distract the eye from the original old historic movement.
Yeah, I mean, that was the plan sort of originally, really, to get sort of furnished in here, put the fireplaces in, level the floors and just make it feel nice and like there's no problems and it's a nice house to move into. So,
I mean, the reality is that you couldn't cover up any problems because a surveyor would see it anyway.
Well, exactly, yeah.
But it is historic and there isn't a problem, so why not keep people's eyes
drawn to another side of the house.
That's right.
Considering the amount of work that's been involved in levelling all the floors, Mike still seems remarkably relaxed. Certainly more so than during the last project.
Was it more stressful, this, or less stressful?
Definitely less stressful.
Really?
From the word go, I mean, I had a far better idea how much it was going to cost and how much work there was going to be needed to do, and I was going to get people in to help, which I did. So I didn't do quite as much work myself.
So it wasn't quite as bad, and you didn't live here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was far easier just to come here for a few hours and do the weekends, then go home.
So now, tell me, how much did you buy this from?
I bought it for 72.
Yeah, and you ended up spending
just under 7,000.
7. Gosh, so it's hardly anything, really.
Yeah, it was really good actually.
And what's it worth?
Well, they've just marketed it at sort of 117.5 with the view of taking 115. So
you made I mean, in percentage terms, that's a really, really excellent profit.
Oh yeah, it's
over
quality.
20%, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, compared with the last one, it's probably actually better. It's been less work here, and it's been good really.
It's actually a really good buy, despite its problems. And that's actually one of the keys with developing, is if you can find something that's got a problem that no one else wants to touch, and you can fix that problem, then you've got added value on that. If you get something that's an easy buy that anyone could do, there'll never be as much profit.
That's it. It's definitely harder to find them than it is actually doing them, I think.
So what are the plans next?
Well, I've just bought another house down on the seafront. So,
cool.
I'm going to be sort of going straight from this one now into that one.
So you're going to be trying to sell this and sell the last one as well?
Yeah, the big one's going on the market probably next week, the week after.
Up and away.
Yeah.
One of the things most first-time property developers really underestimate is just how much hard work is involved in the development. But one thing Mike's not shy of is hard work. And if he carries on working at this rate, as long as he sells some of them, he has the makings of being a very successful property developer. Just 1 week after it went on the market, property number 2 went under offer for £114,000. So he's on target to make a fantastic £35,000 profit.